respond to some of the allegations that I've heard against my without cause tonight.
Is there any objection to Mr. Mortel?
Which specific ones were they?
Well, that
I don't
means
know,
we're
let's
gonna-
all of them,
Okay.
just the insulting ones.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it.
okay. Thank you, Mr. Mortel.
First, I just wrote some notes here at the end because I couldn't help myself. I've sat here quietly for a long time, and most recently, it's been since Commissioner Reed ambushed me with the firing a couple weeks ago. But when I listened to the people speak, I was truly humbled by the outpouring from the community, and I'm going to get into that in a second. But I also heard people speak that spoke against me. The recent ones were the Hamiltons, and they got up and Commissioner Reed assisted them for the last 6 months or so to publicly abuse me every 2 weeks and to accuse me of crimes and to tell me I'm a fraud and a liar. And whoever out there is yelling it out, that's impressive too. In any event, what really happened was there was a contractor that did some bad work at their house, and our CRA director within 2 weeks told them he was going to that she would have their windows replaced and their roof repaired. But that wasn't enough. It was a grant paying for it, and they wanted a different type of insulation and air conditioning for their whole house, even though it wasn't included in the grant. And they weren't signing anything unless they got the air conditioning on top of it. And then we started investigating it. And during the investigation, I had found out that they had gone out and applied for an SBA loan and received a $41,000 grant that said that their home was an office and that their office had commercial office insurance on it and that they had never gotten a change of use for residential purposes and that was all still in play because the bankruptcy was filed in March of '24. And I stopped then and said, wait a second, guys. When the city first applied for this grant, we didn't know they were committing 2 types of grant fraud. But I can't, in good conscience, let my staff move forward on this because then they'll be complacent in part of it. And the city of Stewart doesn't do that stuff. And the city didn't do it. And those of you choking on yourselves, maybe you do it and maybe you look the other way, but we don't. And the city never has because the city's had a culture of honesty. And in our staff meetings, we talk about it every week. And you guys enjoy the fact that the Hamiltons were committing the fraud. But the fact is, if we participated in that, it would jeopardize all of the future grant applications for the city of Stewart as well. And Commissioner Reed knew about it. Commissioner Reed, I told him myself. He also went over to the Hamiltons' house on multiple occasions and saw all the work they were doing in the house on their own without a permit. But just like Robin Cartwright said, let's not treat them differently than the guy on Isla Street that Mike sought a $43,000 loan against. Instead, Mr. Reed allowed him to continue working with no violation of the code. But it goes on, and we continue forward, and they pull their hearing, and they do the whole thing on me, and it all of a sudden is my fault. But before I could get it even resolved, the city has a thing, it's called the Municipal Handbook, and it says that the commission's job is to set the policy of the city, and the staff's job is to do the administration. And as city manager, Frank McChrystal said it tonight, the city manager has to carry out the staff's or the commission's directives and policy. And as city manager, I did that. The city commission before them was pro Costco. I did Costco, and that's why Robin Cartwright's been after me. And then after that, they were pro Brightline. And then this commission didn't want Brightline, and we turned off Brightline. And this commission wanted to do a zoning in progress. Who handled the zoning in progress? It was me. If I wanted to be contrary to this commission's actions, I could have gone out and hired some consultant that would have drug it through the mud, and it would have taken 10 times as long, and it wouldn't have gotten done in the 6 months. And you know what else? I wouldn't have been called an idiot by people telling me that I was not following good planning practices, and that I really needed to be pushing mixed use and other things like that. Instead, what I did was exactly what the commission wanted me to do. I brought it forward, and I got it done in 6 months, and every single initiative they wanted adopted was adopted. That's what happened. And then when that was finished, we moved on to the budget, and they wanted $1 million cut from the budget, and I was only able to do $917,000. But it was pretty darn close. So I challenge you guys that want to choke on comments and make fun of me to think about what it was I didn't do that this commission wanted. Because every single thing they wanted, I did. And that's okay. And I know that we can be fired at any time, but not for cause, for any reason or the will of the board. And honestly, that's their prerogative, and I totally get it. But that's not what happened in this case. What happened in this case is Commissioner Reed brought up that he wanted to see my contract. He then never mentioned to me or the city attorney that he was planning on firing me for the next 2 weeks. Never mentioned it, and we saw each other probably 5 different times. He even saw the Stewart News, spoke to them about it, and they asked him flat out, because they called me and said, is he going to fire you? And I said, I don't know. You ought to call him and ask him. Next day I read in the newspaper that they did in fact ask him. And he said, no, I'm not firing him. I just want to review his contract and make some changes to it. Is that transparency? It would be if he didn't, first thing out of his mouth at the next meeting, say, I'm going to fire him, and move to fire him for cause, and then say, oh, but wait, he's a good guy, and I don't want to fire him. I don't want to say all the bad things he's done. So if he resigns, we won't have to abuse him. He wanted me to walk away from my contract, and I didn't. So you know what I got? Abused. You guys have all read it, day in and day out. I got abused. I got abused tonight. It was fun. You guys choking on it. You think it's great. I hope it comes back to you one day. I'm okay with it because I know I didn't commit any crimes, I didn't do anything for cause, and I didn't endorse a fraud on Florida commerce. I stood firm on it. And the other one was the Rudges and some thing that I did in 2009. The city of Stewart was never even a party to their lawsuit after they signed full releases in 2012. And whatever they said I did went to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeal and the 4th DCA on appeal, and were all affirmed. We're all accurate. And you know how much it cost the city? Nothing. You know why? Because I defended it, and that's why she's mad at me. I could have said, go hire some other lawyer and let us spend $100 grand defending a frivolous lawsuit, but I didn't.
I'm not mad at you. I love you.
You had your turn. So Frank McChrystal said, if you're giving him a chance to play ball and it has not happened, then you have a job to do. And I told him during the break, I respect Frank, and I totally agree with what he said. And I challenged Frank, next time you see me, tell me if you can think of something I did where I didn't play ball. And the board knows that I've implemented every goal they've wanted, and if they've come to me and asked me to do something, I've done it. They even said I did a good job last meeting. It was just that Commissioner Reed didn't get to hire the city manager, and therefore he wants to hire his own, which is fine. That's the board's prerogative. But that's not for cause. That's say it. Be honest with the public. Tell them what your real motivation is. I wish Commissioner Reed had told everybody that when he was running for office, so they would have known that too when they were pulling the lever to vote. But he didn't, because that's not transparency. I've adjusted my position every time. This is not a situation where I failed to go along with the program. There's been increasing friction between Mortel and the majority of the commission over the last 6 months. And they're right, there has. And it's been horribly frustrating for me. And I've been sitting here quietly, and I've been cringing over the last 6 months, because it started when Commissioner Reed started calling Florida Commerce and making private phone calls with them and sending them emails and doing administrative work, which violates the city charter the city policy, the municipal handbook, without a doubt. It also included every other Monday when he would ambush me with a Hamilton thing, even though he saw me the week before. It got so bad that there was comments around staff. We knew when Commissioner Reed was going to ambush me, it'd be when he didn't come see me the Friday before. But I stood quietly. I let it happen. Even during this meeting, members of the public laughed about how the city was operating in the past. They did not recognize the staff's job is to follow policies adopted by the city commission. I think it's interesting that they blame me for doing what the commission asked in the past, Brightline, Costco, whatever it might be. But now, when I say what the commission asked me to do now, it doesn't count, and it doesn't matter. And if I were to stay, the next commission would blame me for doing what this commission wanted. But that's what a city manager is supposed to do. And I hope that the next city manager has the courage to come to this city and to follow the culture we used to have in this city without the fear of retribution. But what else happened over the last 6 months? Well, we did the zoning in progress, and we pushed it through, and we got it done. But then the state stepped in, and they pushed Senate Bill 180 on us. And I was the first one to say, guys, we can't follow the zoning in progress anymore. We've got to pull it because Senate Bill 180 says we're supposed to rescind everything back to last August. But on August 11th, even though I was saying that's a violation of state law, this commission said, nope, we're telling staff to violate state law. And the next day, I had to go to the staff meeting and say the commission voted we're going to continue to follow our zoning in progress. And the answer was, well, what about Senate Bill 180? We're going to challenge that and say it's unconstitutional, which, by the way, is a great thing to do if you want to challenge a law. That's exactly what you do. However, while it's pending, if you go back and watch the August 11th meeting, the city attorney and I were telling this board, hey, guys, it's kind of like if a person went out drinking and then they got pulled over for drinking and driving, and the sheriff said, I'm going to arrest you for DUI. You say to the sheriff, oh, no, you can't arrest me. I'm going to challenge this law for being unconstitutional, so it doesn't apply to me. That's what happened. That's transparency. But you know what? I sat quietly. It wasn't until I read and saw everything that this board did to me over the last 2 weeks, and the lack of confidence and the fact that they would hammer every one of the staff of the city of Stewart, and me included, and it didn't matter who was in their way. And what I did for the last 6 months, and really for the last year, was defend my staff. I wasn't involved in the Hamiltons thing. That was a CRA matter, but I stood right in front of it and owned it because that's what you do. But the city lost touch with the process and the structure that used to be the city of Stewart's government. And it used to be that the commission would give policy, and that when someone would go to the commissioners, instead of trying to take over the matter and solve it on their own, they would come back to staff and have staff do it. And the city code of conduct clearly states that that's what needs to happen. And all the commissioners sign it, and it's in the charter. You can look it up. The charter refers to the code of conduct, and it's right there. And Commissioner Reed said he didn't care as much about the code of conduct as he does about the Commission on Ethics, but it shouldn't be, I care about this one more than I care about this one. It should be both matter. It should be that staff matters. It should be that everyone matters. It should be that the people here matter and that people's voices matter. But that's all gone because they no longer matter. What matters is the decision that was made before we got here. And how are we going to ram it down everybody's throat? I know that I'm sounding a little frustrated, but you know why? Because I am. And it's not because I'm losing my job. I accepted that 2 weeks ago when I found out I was losing my job. I knew that it wasn't for cause, and I was going to stand firm on that. I want to take a minute to thank the residents of the community from the bottom of my heart, because over the past several days, I've been truly humbled by the incredible outpouring of support. And Robin Cartwright made up stories that she knew I was the one behind putting out everybody and getting everybody to do it. Completely made up. I didn't do any of it. I didn't return the media's calls, ask them. I didn't email them back. I didn't ask anybody to do any of the rallies for me. And in fact, I actually asked people not to, because I said the only chance I have of getting my job is if this commission doesn't think it's me versus them, and that if these rallies happen, it's going to look like it's me versus them. But when I saw that it was clear that it was just, let's have fun and batter Mike Mortell for the next 2 weeks, I was like, you know what? I don't care if the rallies happen. In fact, I'm happy they're happening because I get to see the people actually come out for me. And you know what? It's been heartwarming. It's been great. It really has. And I've always loved Stewart, and I still do. The city is made up of many different types of people, and all of them deserve to be included in the process. But the process matters, and the structure matters, and the culture matters. And every single Tuesday when I have to tell my staff, yes, we're going to do this, and we are going to work through this, and it's going to be fine, and you guys know you're going to be okay. And when Commissioner Reed went into the development office during the budget cycle and started telling people, you're not on the list to get fired, I'll make sure you're saved. And he was not doing it on purpose. He didn't even realize he said it. But 2 people came to my office crying that day. Now, I said to them, he was just in passing. He didn't mean it. Because he didn't. I don't think he even remembers it.
I don't even remember saying that, but I'm listening.
It happened, and if you don't believe me, I'll be gone. They're not going to be afraid to talk about me after I'm gone, so talk to them tomorrow. But this proceeding would not have gone this way if there had been true transparency. If Commissioner Reed had gotten up whenever he got up and said, you know, I just never had it for Mike Mortell. I don't feel he's the right guy for the job, and the contract says I can fire him, and I'm going to fire him because of that. Nothing would have come of it. There would have been no rallies. There would have been no nothing. It would have been just like a couple commenters said, city managers come and go. But what really happened is Commissioner Reed teed it up for his Facebook friends to bash my teeth in for 2 weeks and said, if Mike doesn't resign, we're going to fill you in and let you know it all what's going to happen. And the media is all here so we can ask him. Every time they asked Commissioner Reed what it was, he'd say, stay tuned and come Monday. We're going to tell you Monday. But the Code of Conduct calls that an ambush and says that commissioners should be removed for being an ambush. So if anybody's doing anything wrong, maybe it's the people doing the ambush. And honestly, I don't think Commissioner 𝗕𝗶𝗄 has been deeply involved in it. I think that obviously she came and met with me and we had a nice conversation and she was candid about it. And she even said to me, you're not being fired for cause in her book. But she had her own reasons, and I respect that, and that's her choice. But if I wasn't being fired for cause, then why was I being fired for cause? And why was it all about me being delayed, and we have to wait to find out what the cause is, and we're going to have the cause, and here comes the cause? It was because they wanted to be able to say the traffic violation and the 𝗖𝗵𝘁 𝗘𝗏 real estate transaction. 𝗖𝗵𝘁 𝗘𝗏 is a very grounded person in our community, and any one of you can ask him. I never had a single discussion with him about selling that lot, participating in the sale of that lot, or having anything to do with that lot. His lawyer contacted me to put it on the agenda, and I put it on the agenda. It was on the front page of the newspaper after that. It turns out my wife and I live on the street, so multiple people approached her and said, hey, is that lot for sale? And it wasn't, because we didn't split the lot that night. It didn't get split until he closed on it and did whatever he did a month or so later. And I didn't call him on the phone or talk to him about it. I didn't have a single conversation. And he didn't promise me anything for putting it on the agenda. In fact, it's kind of sad that that Facebook page would actually make those accusations and want to drag your community through the dirt like that just so you can feel a little sensationalism. It's gross. because it didn't happen. And you know what else? I've offered to sit down with you many times and tell you what happened, but you won't, because you don't want the real truth. And not one person met with Stephen to do any of this investigation. And in fact, last week when I asked Commissioner Reed if he got all the goods on me, he started talking about the traffic thing, knowing that it's not much. And then when I said to him, well, you know, it's funny because the Commission on Ethics says you're not supposed to use your position as a city commissioner to be meeting with the union members to read the email that you read, to take that position in order to use it for your personal gain. And he goes, oh, I've known about it for weeks. Okay, so you weren't transparent during the first 3 meetings we had because you never brought it up. Or you were, but you didn't bring it up anyway? I don't get it. But what I know for sure is that I don't care when you found out about it, when you used your position as a city commissioner to get the email and meet with the union members that you were talking about, that was a real violation of a real law. And I've been here 25 years, and there's no violations that I've done in 25 years. The best thing we can come up with is that I got a driving on a suspended license that was dismissed later because I had paid the ticket, and that my wife, who was a realtor, did a real estate transaction. Be careful, guys. It's a bigger conspiracy than that. 𝗖𝗵𝘁𝗆𝗍𝗍 did a closing for me in 2002 as well. But it was part of the plan, right? Because that's how it'll play out. It wasn't. That's not what happened. But it also occurred to me that I had members of my staff saying to me, can you believe Commissioner 𝗬𝗍𝗶 told the media that they would never tell the staff not to follow state law? And I told him, no, Commissioner 𝗬𝗍𝗶 did not say that to intentionally lie to the media. I don't think Commissioner 𝗬𝗍𝗶 realizes that they told staff not to follow state law. And as we sit here at this moment, I still feel that way. I don't think she lied to the media. I think that she just doesn't realize that the action they took on August 11th at about 2 hours into the meeting when they told staff not to follow state law was actually telling staff not to follow state law. But I digress. I want to take a moment and thank all of you, including the ones that don't like me and that want to come to the meetings, because you know what? You kept me straight. It's not, you weren't the first ones that came to meetings and did it. It's been happening my whole career. There's always somebody in the audience, and that's good. That's good balance. It makes everybody mind their P's and Q's. I don't have any problem with that. Thank you. I've spent my life serving Stewart, not for the recognition, but because I truly love Stewart. I moved away, and I wanted to come home again. And Stewart's my home, and Stewart was my parents' home, and Stewart's my children's home, and Stewart's going to remain my home after I'm not the city manager in about 15 minutes. But I love this city, and I love the people who make up this city. And seeing so many people come together and speak out and stand up for what they believe in has been one of the most meaningful experiences of my career. And I know it's not standing up just for me. I think it's the straw that broke the camel's back, and I think they were standing up for lots of different reasons, and I might be the catalyst to it. But the truth of it is, I got to see it, and I got to feel like it was for me, and it will go with me to my grave. It was honestly the most honoring and respectful thing that I've ever received in my entire career. No matter what happens and whoever takes my place, I'll never forget the passion of Stewart and those for and against whatever the issues are, and the ability to speak about it, and the structure and the culture that we used to have where people didn't use misinformation on social media to twist things and make people look bad because they like divisiveness and they like having their community at each other's throats, and they think it's great because they got a like or a checkbox or whatever they got from it and makes them feel like a big shot for 15 minutes. I'm deeply grateful for everyone's support, and I'll always genuinely hope, I will always be genuinely hopeful that Stewart will find its way back to the happiest seaside town. My sincere hope is that the City of Stewart can return from the form of government envisioned by our charter, one where the City Commission focuses on setting policy on behalf of the residents, and the professional staff carries out those policies without interference. Overall, I'm hopeful that we can return to a local government where the staff is not afraid to tell the Commission that they must follow the law, where staff is not afraid of retribution for following the charter, the policies, the code of conduct, the state statutes. I'm also saddened that I'm losing my job because I have continuously expressed concern to the board regarding those policies and those laws. And ever since I was on the Board of Adjustment in 1992, I felt a desire to work for and with the people of Stewart. And I've done so. But last Thursday, at about 2 o'clock, I was also threatened, like Mr. Reed, but I didn't run to the police. I was told that if I don't resign and waive my contractual rights by today, that this commission was going to bring up the driving on a suspended license and the real estate transaction. Now that's actually extortion. It's the real deal. Not pretend, but the real deal. And I said, if they bring it up on Monday, I'm bringing up the extortion on Monday. And they still brought it up. I don't know if it's because of a lack of experience or a just complete disregard for all of it. But it happened, and I was threatened with it for real. Now, I'm pretty sure that my closing remarks have swayed the commission to keep me. But the funny part is I knew before I even got here tonight I was fired. Go look at my office. I moved out last week.
Oh, hallelujah.
Yeah, and we're happy for you too, Mrs. Rudge. You've been such a treat. I don't have to be quiet and polite to your rudeness anymore.
I love you.
I just want to thank those of you, all of you, for caring. I just wish some of you would stop getting your only information from the lies you find on social media. And I hope that all of you find the moral turpitude to hold everybody accountable and to not let anybody not follow the policies and not follow the procedures and not follow the state law. And hopefully tomorrow, after I'm gone, the city will turn back around and stop doing it all. But I've been unable to keep it from happening. I've been begging Commissioner Reed to stop contacting Florida Commerce. They actually called me on the phone and said, he is blowing us up, were their words. I then had to look up and see some of the emails he sent them, like, you must be at the next meeting. They told me that he contacted a state representative to get them in trouble for not calling him back fast enough. They told me that he wanted to know how much money we were going to be giving the Hamiltons. I mean, it was crazy stuff. I mean, I can't even believe it myself. But he knew it, and when I asked him about it, he'd say, I'm not calling them at all. I'm not talking to them, nothing. And the city attorney was standing right there when I asked. So it wasn't just the two of us. And there's no doubt that it continued and continued and continued, so much so that the Hamiltons won't even talk to staff. They'll only talk to Commissioner Reed, which is why at the last meeting I said, let's have Commissioner Reed handle it from here on out. He's still doing such a wonderful job with the administration of the city that he should be the one in charge. Because I can't be, because he's usurped all of my authority. And when I tell someone like Mr. Hamilton, no, we're not going to give you air conditioning on top of your grant money, and he says, yes, you are. If you want to get rid of me, you're gonna, or you're going to be gone. And he starts this campaign, and look who won, Mr. Hamilton. But you know what? I didn't give him his air conditioning, and I didn't commit the fraud. And I'll live with that. That's all I've got. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to serve this community.
Commissioner Clark.
Mr. Martell?
Thank you, Mr. Mortel.
Stay for the vote?
Solicitor
he have-
name? Oh, if you don't want to,
No,
that's
I'll
fine. Okay, I'm gonna take rank. Well, we're not supposed to talk about age because of all this seniority and the federal laws and whatnot. But I've been on the commission, I think, the longest.
I am older than you.
Okay, well, yeah, it's not the age. That's why I said I wasn't going by the age. I was just going by the commission. And I've heard everything tonight, and I appreciate Mr. Reed and his idea of wanting to speak up and wanting to get involved when he believes that he wants to participate fully in what he considers to be his job or position as a council member, and I appreciate that. And I just did not envision when I agreed that I thought it was okay, I thought it was routine. Let me have a copy of Mr. 𝗵𝗲's contract, and I said I had no problem. I didn't realize it was going to come to this. I know I heard all the cries for let emails be public, let other things be whatever, transparency, but I didn't realize that there was a path to all of this, and the path would lead to the motion to terminate Mr. 𝗵𝗲 delayed, and then tonight there's a motion to terminate Mr. 𝗵𝗲. I know Mr. 𝗵𝗲 when he was a city commissioner. I know him when he was city attorney and our city manager, as well as being an attorney. I have not investigated all the details about Mr. 𝗵𝗲, and I've only seen some of the things which are some of the negative things that have been put out, but I haven't checked out all of them. But from what I know of him, I didn't need to check out all of them, and I didn't see the consequence of them as being anything, whether it's ethical or criminal or anything in that league. For my judgment, I did not see it. So the options that were given by our city attorney, and before the options that were given tonight, we were asked after the last meeting when we delayed, let us meet with staff, let us meet with the department heads and see how they feel. If there was an issue with Mr. 𝗵𝗲 not following the policies that are in the comprehensive plan, that is in the charter, that is in all the stuff that was set a long time ago before I was on the commission. Some rules have changed along the way, but most of them have been long-standing rules, long-standing goals for the city of Stewart. When we had new commissioners, the newspaper asked, and it was asked here, and I said I will agree that our new commissioners, I know that they'll want to go through, look at the land use plan, look at comprehensive plan, all of our regulations, and that they may want to suggest and make changes. I know that one of our commissioners pushed hard, and we worked on at least a potential change, and that was done with the zoning in progress. I didn't hear of any other changes, whether to the charter or to our comprehensive plan or to our land use regulations. But if there were those things, that's what needs to come forward, because we're the ones who set policy and staff follows the policy. We hire a city manager. We have a council manager form of government. We're the council. We make decisions when we're here meeting, and we set policies, and we uphold the policies that are there in the plans that we have to keep our city going. Our manager, there's a long list of things that our manager does that is do the administrative day-to-day, which means meeting with our council people, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, on occasion, whatever it is, but at least a regular basis so that we all have an idea. There's a teaching ethic that goes with this job, and it goes from both the Florida League of Cities as well as the relationship with the department heads and the city the city manager to make sure that those who come on the council know what the rules are, how things happen, how things operate, and how not to interfere in staff daily doings, just to make sure that policies go right. If they're not going right, then bring it up, or bring it up with the manager. And if the manager and that person says something needs to be discussed with the city, it comes there. So after the last meeting, I met with all the department heads. I heard all the scuttle when we first hired Mr. Mortel. Oh, he's tough. Oh, he's gonna be just like he's a lawyer. He's gonna push these department heads. But when I met with people for 2 to 3 days last week, not one single one said Mr. Mortel was ornery with them, that he was unconscionable, that he was whatever it is, anything that's negative that you'd say that he is not dealing well with staff. Everybody was happy. They've gone through tough times. We've had to make adjustments to our budget. We've gone through things post-COVID that he has had to deal with. And they were happy with the contracts that they're working with, police, fire, other departments, and the things that has been achieved by the city, kind of doing more with less. And these department heads, not one of them complained to me. In fact, they were really wondering what will happen now that if their head person is to be gone, then how will things go? Yes, they're trained. Yes, they're professional. Yes, they will go through. But it's the part that really hurts, I believe, staff. And I didn't talk to every staff member. But the thing that the image of what is happening with the city of Stewart and how it affects people right down the line. And which day is it going to be somebody will come for them? Somebody will come for the city clerk. Somebody will come for the utilities director. Somebody will come for the police chief. We have a new police chief. He's still being tried. He's true, but he's still being tried. Okay, we have tried and true. And so all those things are concerns. And we need to pull back. I think a couple of people have said, I would ask Commissioner Reed, Commissioner 𝗕𝗶𝘁𝗶𝗵 seconded the motion, if we pull back. I've spoken deeply with our Human Resources Director, and I've asked, how can we come up with a plan? How can we have Mr. Mortel meet with us individually, meet with Mr. Reed? How can we heal our city before it becomes broken? I know that they're dissatisfied people. I know that there are people who come here who believe that the city of Stewart is against them and that Mr. Mortel represents a part of that. It's not just him. It's all of us up here. And we make divergent decisions sometimes. Sometimes we make decisions that come together. But we've heard a lot from people, both sides today. But I think that side that talked about reasonableness, that talks about us we have an opportunity here to say if we're not happy with the job that he's doing or the way that he's communicating, whether it's with people in the public or whether it's us as city council members, let us try to see what we can do within our family, within our own. This is the city of Stewart. A lot of people love Stewart. I've heard people tell me, I'm not coming down there to have dinner anymore. I'm not having breakfast downtown. I don't like Stewart anymore. Yes, it may be a way to not have people want to move here, but we're limited. We're 8 square miles. We're developed. We're built out. So those who are going to come here, they're going to come here. And yes, there are people who could be here, but they're living in Port St. Lucie because it's more affordable. That doesn't mean that they don't get here to come and say something, because Stewart affects the region and the region affects Stewart. So it's important. So that is absolute nonsense when we try to jeer somebody who, because they give an address that's not Stewart. Yes, it's important for some instances when people do put things or give their addresses as if they're in Stewart, but you can't find their property names, their names on any property in Stewart. But that happens. But you know what? That's for certain reasons. If we're doing traffic and transportation, it's important to know where people live and work, and that's why the numbers were like that when we did certain studies, and it was important to know who actually lived in Stewart. But we just need to pull back. We need to look, we need to talk to our personnel director, and I'm going to ask, as a person who's been here for some time, that we give Mr. 𝗵𝗲 a plan. We work with him, we work individually between him and personnel, come up with something, and then we tell the public what are some of those ideas that we've come up with to make sure that he's going to stick with that and report to us, whether it's quarterly, give him a certain time, whether it's 6 more months, a year, and do a performance plan. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to our residents. Mr. Reed has absolutely every single right, and he knows what he's doing, and he knows his reasons for it, but I'm looking at the rest of the city of Stewart. Whether you agree with Mr. 𝗵𝗲 or not, or whether you agree with all of the decisions that we make up here, or any of them that you don't agree with, I just think we need to look at the best, the greater good. We need to look at the greater good for the community, for what we stand for as the county seat of Martin County, Stewart incorporated in 1914. We need to look for the greater good. Not for his pocket. His pocket is not going to worry about us. He can go off and get another big job somewhere. It's how things look. Somebody said that you can do certain things, and they said it for another reason, but I'll say this. Just because you can do something doesn't mean that you have to and that you should do it. I think we need to get into reasoning. We need to look at the morale of the staff right now, the morale of the people the families. We've had so many families spoke tonight. I'm not giving any special deference, but I will say that they have been here for 3-4 generations, and I've seen some of them, talk to some of them before this meeting, and they are absolutely appalled. What is going on at City Hall? What is happening at City Hall? Something in the water, maybe, but we're trying to clean that up. I just ask you, and I'll ask openly if Mr. Reed could either withdraw his motion or amend it to see if we can have some time to make up a performance plan. I would appreciate that. There's a motion and a second on the floor, and I know that I can't make another motion until something changes, but I want to let you know what my mind is and what it is. And last of all, Mr. 𝗵𝗲, if this is the last time that I look you eye to eye, I appreciate your work and what you've done for our city, despite not everything going smooth all the time. And you have stood here. Normally it's women who have grace, but you have been here last meeting and this meeting, and I consider it with such grace to be able to speak, not cry, not get angry, but to just be here and to respond appropriately. That shows leadership.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Reed, are you willing to withdraw your motion?
I'm not willing to withdraw my motion. I'm not here to go back and forth with the city manager. Some things were thrown way out of context. I will say that. But I'm not here to go toe-to-toe with Mike, whether certain things he said were true or untrue. I'll agree to disagree. We have different perspectives. But yeah, I'm not willing to withdraw my motion by any means.
Okay. Mr. Vice Mayor.
I have no more comments.
I have no comments.
Okay. It's very difficult to follow both, but to follow Mr. Martell's very heartfelt comments. You know, there has been friction between the commission and Mr. Martell, and a lot of that is between myself and Mr. Martell. That's because I disagree with many of the decisions that have been made by this commission. And I've said to him, how the heck can you let this happen? And his response is, I work for the board and I will follow their direction. I also spoke to the department heads. And of course, there have been no complaints against Mr. Martell filed with HR. But they made me aware of something that I hadn't thought of. So here's someone who's done everything he's been asked to do, and he got fired. And so they're like, so I'm worried if I do my job, I can be fired too. And it seems completely random. And this is going to have a devastating impact on the morale of our staff, especially the more qualified ones. We had a public comment, oh, if he does such a good job, they'll be fine. Apparently this person doesn't understand the idea of loyalty. And Mr. Martell has built a very competent and very loyal staff. And unfortunately, it's that staff with whom that's who people interact with it in the city of Stewart, is our staff. And for us not to try to understand how dramatic an impact it could have on them is naive. This is a very cowardly decision. This is a grossly unfair decision. People have been able to come up here and make allegations, and we do not have a proper process to hear both sides of those. I cannot believe, I think Mr. Haas coming up so much. Apparently the information I was provided concerning Mr. Haas, and this was by someone I respect, who's very intelligent, very thoughtful, cares about the community. It was complete lies. That is remarkable. I'm sorry, Mr. Haas, we can't. But that's why a proper procedure is so valuable. And those lies have been running around the internet unfettered. And it's such a grave disappointment. I was attending a meeting about the Indian River Lagoon, and an elected official came up to me, and this sums it up. He says, I have never seen a group of elected officials who are so determined to ignore the will of the majority of their residents. Seeing no other comments, it gives me no
Mayor
joy,
Rich.
but
Mayor Rich, may I?
Commissioner Reed?
Yeah, I want to touch base on that meeting with department heads. I met with all department heads as well. I won't state how many, but there was more than one that told me I was on the right path. And I'll disagree with you on the public record request. There was actually 3, by the way, complaints in the HR file when I did one, so I'm not sure where you got your information from, but there were 3 that existed. I do know one of the news agencies did a public record request for the same thing that I did, and there were 0 found. So it does make you wonder, and I know the public won't always see it. It's good publicity, it's good headlines, but there's 2 stories being told up here. But yes, I've been told one thing during public record request, and the news was told something different, and I'm assuming you were told something different as well, Mayor Rich. So that's all I have to say. But there are 3 in existence.
It would be nice to air that publicly. Roll call, please.
So
Roll call, please.
Okay,
public record request, my email.
I'm
you'll
sorry,
see them.
Mr. Reed. We've begun the roll call.
the motion is to terminate the city manager without cause and put Jolie as interim city manager for the time being. Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Mayor Rich?
No.
Commissioner Clark?
No.
Commissioner 𝗬𝗍𝗶?
Yes.
And Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
This meeting is adjourned.
Motion passes.